Welcome to the Coffee Experts Club. If you're at all interested in anything we talk about in this episode, go ahead and check out the description down below, or if you even just want to know more about us, click on the links below. Now on to the episode.
Woo!
Hey.
Coffee Experts Club. Good to see you guys. How are you guys
Good
doing
afternoon.
this fine day?
Great. I actually just chatted with, I'm going to be hanging out with Mr. Cody Anderson later this evening.
Oh, man.
Anybody knows Cody
Legend.
with
Yeah,
Dean Coffee Roasters.
yeah, if you haven't fallen, listen to that episode. Go back and listen to the one from Cody. CEO of Houdini Coffee Roasters. Good dude. And the guy that we got to work with for a long time at Roasters Coffee and was the head roaster for BlackRock for a long time. So cool stuff.
What's pretty cool about this podcast is over the last, I don't know how many years we've been doing it, a lot of big things have happened for all of us, you know? And so it was like, when we first started, none of us were doing what we're doing now. And so the entire journey has been cataloged in this podcast.
So crazy. That's true. We weren't even in Belize yet.
No?
That's
And
wild.
Cody wasn't a roaster yet either.
Jarek hadn't opened Swig yet.
Mm-mm.
Crazy.
Am I getting old?
And hadn't had two kids yet. Like, I mean, we got all kinds of stuff going on.
Two children.
I love it. No, I think, but I think that is something, there's something to be said about that of thinking through things. Cause I think that it's easy just to feel like every day is the same day or everything is just, you're in constant stress. If you're a business owner, if you're running a business, it's easy just to get caught in the daily stress and not realize, hey, lift your head a little bit and look it back and look how far you've come, especially if you're like ever expanding, ever pushing, ever moving, And I think it's really important to ask yourself, like, are you pushing? Are you moving? Are you being inspired by other people doing things? So I will say that's something all of us share is that we're around people that are doing things. And I think that inspires movement.
Yeah. And it's hard to see it one day at a time. Like you just said 4 years ago when we started this, everything's changed. But if I looked at yesterday, I wouldn't feel much different.
Crazy. It's crazy. So anyway, any of you who have opened a location, Drew and I are 1 week away from grand opening of our relocating of our location number 1, our flagship store. And if you've been listening to the show, that sucks. Like that's stressful. That's overwhelming. Right? Like we just built our 3rd location in June, and in Belize, it all has to be done cash, right? They don't do loans. So think about squirreling together enough money to open our location. We squirrel it together. And I do think that that's been the gift of Belize, right? Is that like costs are lower. The bureaucratic red tape is less, so you can move things faster. We're able to, from concept to serving coffee out the window, open a location in 3 months. I mean, that's not even a possibility. You can't even get the first couple of conversations with the city done in 3 months in the state. But like we're serving coffee out the window, and that's been a gift for us. This first location, this flagship location paid for half of the second location, just in the money. We're keeping the money in the business, right? So first location paid half of the second location. The first 2 locations paid for the complete 3rd location. But even in that dropped us down, right? Like we do not have reserves at that point, right? And then we came into slow season, and midway through slow season, the building owner said, hey, we're tearing down your building for location number 1. And we're like, you're doing what? And so then I was trying to figure out, okay, so how do we scramble by mid-February to get something else, And so Drew and I started looking at locations. We thought about building a new location, a drive-through in this original town we had started in, but it was just too much cash outlay for that short of a window of time. We just put all of our cash in June, like to be able to turn it in slow season by a grand opening in February wasn't realistic. So Drew found this great spot, and it's turned out to be beautiful. And I'm really excited. And we're like 98% of the way there. We're on the final touches with a grand opening a week from tomorrow. And any of you that run coffee know we're in the crunch, right? This is the crunch. This is like, do we have everything? And in Belize, it's crazy because it's like, you can't just run up to cash and carry. Like, do we have everything we're going to need for a grand opening? Are all the supplies? We had to have ordered that stuff and shipped it a month in advance to make sure it was going to make it there in time. So have the stools arrived? Have Drew had a bunch of stuff built? How are things coming together? So maybe we could just talk a little bit about crunch time, final week, grand opening, working with contractors, working with vendors, and just commiserate a little bit on the stress.
Yeah. And one quick sidebar. It's hard to really describe slow season, but imagine January for like 4 months.
Yes.
Coffee January for 4 months and trying to squirrel cash to open another location. It's a stressful time.
I'll say too, like along that line, the 3rd location didn't pop off like the second location did. You know what I mean? And I think it was time of the year. I think it also has to do with the location where we placed it. I think it's built for high season, like it's surrounded by a
Yeah.
bunch of condos, surrounded
Yeah.
by a bunch of rentals. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So guess what? When there aren't a bunch of Americans and Europeans filling those rentals, your locals it's not a local neighborhood like the South
Yeah.
location on the island, so learning curve in that, right? It's been great in high season, but man, it really did not help that much. But I will say, I'll always tell business owners but your third location still helps with momentum, right?
Mhm.
It's still another marketing opportunity for people to see your name someplace else. It also is a
Yeah.
contributor to all the bills, right? Like, so yeah, it's not knocking down big dollars, but it does contribute to global dollars that the business needs. And it's nice to be able to lean into different locations at different times. So, yeah, just things to always be thinking about and considering.
And I think the spot that we chose is good for the future. Like right now might be rough, but in the next 4 or 5 years, that is going to be a very densely populated area. Built for the future. You can open one in a busy neighborhood. Awesome. If you can't, find one that's going to be busy, and it'll pay off in the long run.
Mhm. I know we had a couple locations like that with roasters that we opened. I'm thinking specifically of our 27th shop on 27th. We were like, this would be a nice, it's kind of slow neighborhood spot. It's on a roundabout. It's kind of weird
Right.
egress, but it was we thought, it'll probably be one of our mid to lower tier shops, but it's nice to have something out there. You don't realize it until you put it up that you're like, holy cow, where are all these people coming from?
It popped
So,
off. Yeah.
It's huge shop. And there are spots that do kind of blow your expectations out of the water like that. Or like you're saying, Drew, like eventually once people start filling in, if you've got the foresight to say, hey, this is where the population, the traffic is starting to move out to, if we can get ahead of the game before all those commercial parcels, obviously up here in the States, it's got to be zoned correctly. I don't know about down there. Before somebody else gets into those spots, then you're there when the crowd arrives.
I do think that there's something to be said about expectations, right? Like you open things with expectations. Like South popped off. We thought North would pop off too. You know what I mean? And it didn't pop off at the rate that we thought. Now, some of that was season, some of that's location. But I remember back in the Roasters days, like that 27th, I remember all of us went up to that site when Wes showed us on the site and we're like, what the hell? Like this, we're so far off the beaten path. Like this, like it's a roundabout in a neighborhood. Like, what are we doing up here? But Wes had the foresight to see, no, there are a lot of houses here that are going to feed into us. And it turned out to be great. But on the flip side of that, like 395, we thought was going to go off because they saw so many eyeballs, right? Like it's so much traffic. It's this huge highway of like, it's the center highway that drives everything through that whole area. And 395 did not pop off the way that we expected. It was supposed to be a 24-hour location, right? That was going to be our first location that was going to be 24 hours. We were going to be like, Dutch Bros is doing 24 hours. We can do 24 hours, right? And it was like, we lasted a month, not even a month doing 24 hours. Womp, womp, womp. The only people coming here are tweakers that fall in the middle of the night. I think that what we realized there was traffic pattern really affected it. And when people are whizzing by at 55 miles an hour, it's hard to grab the brakes and squeak into an ingress that was that sharp and get back out onto a highway that's going 55. It just didn't draw the traffic. So I think expectations sometimes where you're like, neighborhood, is it going to really work? 5 highways, it's everything you said you wanted, right? Like the traffic count's off the chain, but if they don't have an ability to slow down, if the traffic pattern doesn't break enough for them to get in and out, it can slow you down. So the things that you learn and the expectations that are blown, sometimes where you're like, this seemed pretty good. And then sometimes you're like, I don't know if this is that good, but sometimes all you can do is the best you can do.
You guys on the island with that new location, do you have to worry about, the golf carts whizzing by too fast, or they drive slow enough you don't have to really worry about miles per hour?
So we were going to build in our north location. It's a pretty fast, I should say it's a flat stretch. So the roads here, there's no
when
speed
you're
limits.
when you're going 20 miles an hour, then people are humming by you on those golf carts.
Yeah. There's no speed limits. There's no traffic police like that. So people just floor it, especially on those golf carts. So we were going to have a little speed bump built. They'll throw ropes across the road, the big heavy duty ropes. Those are their speed bumps. Put in humps. They'll makeshift something, but we were going to have one built. And right next to us, there's a supermarket that had one built instead. So it kind of benefits us as well.
I was wondering, because when we went down there, and if for all of our listeners, if you haven't been to Belize yet, you should definitely go down at least once. But I remember we were driving around on our little golf carts. I was like, there seems to be no rhyme or reason for these speed bumps. I was like, they're this small, they're this big. I was like, why are these like this? That makes sense. It's just a business putting out its own speed bump.
Yeah, we're a neighborhood. I mean, it's dangerous. You know, those golf carts are really dangerous. It doesn't sound, oh, a golf cart, but no, they're dangerous, especially because there's so much pedestrian traffic.
Well, yeah, and these aren't like I'm going out on the fairway golf carts. These are like jacked up gas or diesel engine golf carts that can go like 35 miles an hour.
Yeah,
At best.
exactly.
At best.
So I'm curious, what you mentioned, like, you know, just the red tape and how quickly you guys can get stuff done. I mean, you've been on both sides of the coin now, building a shop in Belize and, you know, playing part in building a shop here in the States. Why is it so much faster down there than it is up here? Is it the actual construction? Is it that contractors just work faster? Is it just easier to get your hands on materials? Or is it just that up here it's just a time suck?
I think there are a couple of things that go into it. I will say, whether it's in the States or abroad, who you use really does like change. You know what I mean? Like, it does change the game. And in Belize, like, people in Belize are amazed at how fast we can turn things around. But I really, honestly, I don't feel like we can brag about that much. I think it's like the guy that we partner with, Daryl Velasquez from San Pedro Yard Guys. And I think we were like one of his first accounts where he was really starting to build like buildings and doing stuff like that. But I think he's really picked up speed since then. And I just think he's a sharp dude. He stays on top of stuff. Now, I do think that there are ways that we do things that help facilitate him staying on top of things. You know, we do a weekly meeting every week, and we do a check-in on progress of what we said we were going to get done last week, and did it get done this week? And I think that simple accountability, and contractors really need that. Like, don't let your contractor take control of the narrative. Like, you take control of the narrative. You tell them when you want to meet. You tell them what you're going to need. And what I found is when you'll do that, most contractors will either really step up and do it, or you'll realize this guy sucks and I should not be working with this guy. You know, and I think Daryl has been great. He's been a great partner for us. We've used him to build all 3 locations because he did so well for us. And we're like, yeah, let's keep on moving it. So we actually brought him from the island to San Ignacio. Those who are listening, like, the island, it's an hour and a half away, you know, drive from San Ignacio to the coast. And then it's, you know, depending on how you do it, it's an hour boat ride or a 10-minute flight to get onto the island. So bringing Daryl over and having him work for us for a month, we had to pay like some lodging fees. We had to pay some, like, getting him into our area to be there. But for us, it was worth it because we knew he could in the timeline we could expect. Because you hear all kinds of horror stories about people that are like, I paid out all this money, I'm still waiting on it, you know. And I think so. I really do think that partnering with the right people help.
That makes sense.
And I also think Belize is small government. You know, the local officials are really involved. I can go into the town council and meet with the mayor if I need to about something. And that really helps. I think they also, not to say that in the States they don't necessarily care as much about small businesses, but here that's their lifeblood. You know what I mean? It's important to make sure things can happen quickly here, because when businesses come and go, you know, when tourists are here, the businesses need to benefit from it. And so the local officials make sure that everything stays moving really quickly. And that's been a huge benefit here. They're really involved. You know, it's a very community oriented government.
Yeah, I think of it. It's funny you guys talking about, because Swag, Jarek with Swag Coffee, if anybody knows, you know, we've talked to Jarek a few times. They just opened up location number 3 Monday, I believe.
Oh, wow.
I was coming up on it. Yeah.
But even him and I, you know, I've been working with him for quite a while. That location was supposed to open, I believe, in October of last year.
Oh, wow.
But, you know, it's, you know, the contract, it's pushed back. And then, oh, wait, no, we need this. Oh, wait, push back. Oh, wait, no, there's actually these licenses. Let's push back. And, you know, and it's February. It's crazy that you guys just can be like, yeah, we'll get a shop up in 3 months. Like, even if you could talk to the mayor of, you know, Richland right now here in the States, it's just never happened. There's just no way to be able to move that fast.
And I will say, like, the amount, like, to Drew's point, it's a much smaller country. There's much less happening, right? So it's like, yes, there's building going on. Yes, there's those things, but the threshold's a lot less on their requirements, and there's a lot less volume. You know, in the States, there's a lot moving. There's a lot going. I mean, I don't want to throw total shade. I do think that governmental employees are lazy, but like, I mean, how's that a blanket statement in the States? You know what I mean? Where like they just are not motivated to move fast. Like, they'll get to it when they get to it. They're not going to be stressed by you. They're going to have a stable job. If you come, if you don't come, you know, I do think, to Drew's point, it's a lot more, you just rub shoulders a lot more with the people in Belize. It's a much smaller place and it isn't as big government. So I think that the constraints aren't as much. And I think that there's not as much building. So any of you ever thinking about expanding into other places, I would say look at those things. Like Belize is really kind to foreign investors. You know what I mean? So it's been a great thing for us. They speak English. All their documents are built on the British common law when it comes to real estate and how you're doing agreements. So when we push things to attorneys and we push attorney documents to other people, we have attorneys down there that are great, that are well respected. I think always work with somebody that's well respected in your locale, right? Like well respected people. When our attorney sends people stuff, then people listen. You know, like it's not just some like sham guy down the street. It's like, no, okay, wow, you're working with them and your documents are all in order. It just helps you get through the pipeline. And I think, be good to people, right? Like, don't be a dick. Nobody wants to deal with a guy that comes in with a bunch of bravado that's like pushing people around and thinking they're super important. Like, be humble, be generous, give back. I think all those things help projects move forward.
I will say too, one of the things I've noticed that is common here and obviously down there is if you're a business that's actually successful and you are building, much like we were with Roasters, you start to have a name for yourself that, hey, this is a stable local business. Your city likes that. Your city doesn't want to have to plop down a bunch of Red Robins and a bunch of Olive Gardens. Like your city wants anchor businesses. They look for anchor businesses. If we've got a parcel of commercial land that we're going to sell out, what is an anchor business? Meaning a business that isn't going to just fold in 2 years. But if you can grow and show that, hey, we are an anchor business and we're a local company, that makes it really attractive to the city you're working with, and it makes them that much more willing to say, hey, let's move the wheels a little bit faster. I remember towards the end there, working with the city, that was one of my responsibilities was contacting the city and getting all of our ducks in a row for new locations. And between 2017 and 2020, there was a very big difference on working with the city because they're like, oh, it's Roasters. Roasters wants a new location. We should get this going.
Yeah. Okay. It's good. It's good. Well, boys, another episode in the books. Ben, maybe we call this one how to build a quick location. Yeah. Or how to build a new location goes up quick, something like that. Because I really do think that there's some speed and economy you can do regardless of where you do it in the way that you handle people. But we're very grateful. Those of you out there that are listeners that are faithful, man, keep us in your thoughts and your prayers for our new location open up on Friday. It's a big deal. It's Valentine's Day weekend. Lots of lovers. Pray for lots of love over us because we need it.
Yeah,
I love it, guys. Thanks for showing up. Coffee Experts, thanks for being here. We'll see you next week here on Coffee Experts Club.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.